guys, how's it going? Today we are going to be planting a bunch of shade-loving perennials in this flower bed right behind me. So it's sort of a triangular shaped flower bed that sits right beneath a huge maple tree right by our back shade porch. Just realized I still have a Christmas wreath up in April. Awesome. But we need to start with a little bit of perennial cleanup. We've got lambs here that just needs light cleaning, just some raking along the boxwood border there. I need to cut a few stems like these water sprouts out of the middle of this viburnum. You can see them just growing straight up through the center. And then we've also got some hellebores that I planted as plugs. They were little itty bitty and they're now just starting to put on a little bit more growth. But we need to clean off the old foliage. And you can also see that we've got a lot of daffodils in this area, which I think we're going to have more blooms on this year than we have in prior years. You can see a whole bunch of the buds more out toward this way, but I am seeing a bunch of buds on the interior here as well. And I thought because they were getting too much shade that they started to peter out. And while some of them, like right here, you can see this bunch doesn't have a bud, many of them do, which is so exciting. Maybe we have some footage of the spring right after I planted these. So we planted them in fall. The very next spring, it was glorious because of course when you're planting a new bulb in the ground, those are ready. They're full of energy. They're primed for blooming the next season. But after they bloom, they need to be in a position where they're receiving enough sunlight in order to re-energize their bulb to do it from year to year. And because they're underneath this shade canopy, they've struggled a little bit, so I'm very excited to see all the buds that are in here. And there's also other things in here that we have to keep in mind. Like I've got a great big Woolala hosta that is coming up right here. And as you know, those get big and it will want to grow and fill up this whole space right here. So we just need to be mindful of how things are gonna grow. We've got some white bleeding heart, which I absolutely love, but they are fairly short-lived. They come up and they bloom beautifully and then they kind of fizzle out for summer. So I wouldn't mind popping a couple things in and around them that kind of fill in the space when they're not here. There's a Brunnera here, which I had planted kind of an arc of Brunnera and they didn't all take. And I'm not exactly sure why. It could have been a water issue, who knows, but that one did. And that one will fill in this space. And we've got a couple of Heuchera here. These are the, what are those, silver gumdrop maybe? Oh, I think they are. But let me show you the perennials, hey Russell, that we've got for this space. I am so excited about these because many of them we've had since January or since last year, like these right here. This is called a spearmint Heuchera, and I kind of wanted to stay all in different shades of green. I didn't really want to add in any like red or anything like that. I just want it to be a very peaceful look, and I love these. These will have bright pink blooms, so you know that will add a little splash of color, but I love the foliage, and these hung out in the high tunnel all winter and they've just pushed the most beautiful growth, as well as the Heuchera called Dressed Up a Ball Gown, which I did use in the large container in the middle of the brick patio over there. But I had a couple of those left and I do love that pop of chartreuse. We've got some toad lilies right here called Samurai, and these have a green leaf with a yellow margin. I noticed a few little aphids on these, so I did spray them prior to bringing them out here, and I'll probably spray them again as I put them in the ground. But these grow about 2 feet tall and about 1.5 feet or so wide, and the flowers are beautiful. Look at that. And I guess let's look at the size on this one. The Dressed Up Ball Gown grows 12 inches tall and about 2 feet wide. Zone 4 through 9 on this. The Toad Lily is a zone hardy to zone 5. The Spearmint grows 10 inches tall. That just means the leaf canopy. The blooms shoot up way higher than that. 22 inches wide, zone 4 through 9. Then we've got our mini Kenilworth ivy, which I would like to plant around the base of some of these perennials and around the edges of the rocks because it's a ground cover and they are so sweet and gorgeous. And they do prefer shade. So hardy to zone 6. They're both drought tolerant and can tolerate moist soil. So they're very versatile in terms of soil quality when you're talking about moisture level. But they grow 1 to 2 inches tall, 12 inches wide, and they bloom spring and summer with these super dainty, kind of fragile looking blooms. Then we've got some ferns here, which are the Western Sword Fern, which will grow 2 to 4 feet tall and wide. And they just provide that beautiful kind of lush look. And I've got a few more of these spearmint heucheras right back in there. So this is our job for today after we get our cleanup done. I do have an auger for those small things, but I brought a shovel out for the larger things because this area is notoriously hard to dig in because of all the roots and such. So anyway, that's going to be our project. And it's going to be a soggy one today too, because we received so much rain yesterday and the day before. We had standing water in multiple different locations around the garden. We were commenting about how many natural ponds we had all of a sudden. Real quick, I just got to show you the lungwort down this walkway, which is also another phenomenal option for shade. This is the Pinkaboo, I think is what it's called. I always want to call it Pinkadot, like a polka dot. I don't know why. So I think it is Pinkaboo. Look at these bloom stalks. It's already been in bloom for weeks. And we cleaned it up probably a week and a half or so ago. Just cleaned up the spent leaves around the base, and there were a few we popped out from the center of the canopy, but there's a ton of buds down in here. They bloom for such a long time. And even when they're done, their leaf variegation is so unique and so gorgeous that they just light up a shady spot all season long. Hey, Samantha.
Hi.
You came out of nowhere.
I made some food in a pile.
Oh, good.
I put it into a pile.
Good. So anyway, this would be another really fun option to add in. Once I can get my hands on some more of it, I think I would love to put some in here as well. Anyway, so this is our project. Let's get after it. All right, guys, at this point, I'm pretty much done with the clean out. I'm not gonna bother blowing off the sidewalk and the stones until we're completely done. I do have a couple of piles. There's one there, one over there. Look at that viburnum. Oh, with those sprouts cut out from the center, it looks so much better. And there's still quite a number of the little helicopters that are hanging out. We usually do a little bit more of a thorough rake job after all the daffodils are cut back. It's kind of done all at the same time. We can go in, cut all the daffs, and then it opens it up a lot more so we can get our rake in and around. But I got a lot of them out today. I had planted wire vine along the edge. I pulled all of that out. There's our other pile, but I need to empty out the back of the gator, which means we get to place our plants now before I pick up these extra piles, because I need to dump this into the back of the gator before things get too heavy. And now that we've cleaned this up a little bit, I can kind of see where things are a little bit better. And like I discovered a Brennera right here. There's one little leaf and another one coming up right there, and the larger one on that side. So that's good. I think we're going to be focusing mostly on this space right in here, which if you've been watching our videos for a number of years at this point, you know that this is kind of a struggle area for me every year. And I don't know why, I think I just left it open for annuals because we park here and, you know, a lot of foot traffic goes by this area. So I really wanted it to be, you know, like full of beautiful color. And I put coleus in there, I put other things in, and it's just always a little bit of a struggle. So I decided this year, as well as like the area under the golden rain tree, we're just gonna go in with perennials and start filling it up with that and not worry about needing to replant it every single year. So I'll probably start with my taller things first. move on to the lilies, then the heuchera, and then our ground cover. This is the fun part. All right, we got all the plants placed, the piles picked up, and even though there's going to be quite a bit of space yet to fill, even after planting all of these things, I think this is a great start. And for the time being, you can't even tell that there's empty space because of all the daffodils. But basically, I left this section alone because we are getting into a little bit more sun territory, and you can see that we're outside the canopy of the maple. However, there's another maple. This is a red point right here, and it does shade this spot in the morning, but from about here over, it gets sun in the afternoon. And I do have a Brunner right here that does okay, and we've got a tricolor beech right here, which is a beautiful pink-leaved tree. I absolutely love it. But we've also got some roses that thrive and do really well in this section. So this we might need to adjust a little bit. So I left that alone. I also left this space alone because, like I said, we've got that huge hosta. I think I'll let that fill in and see how much this lambsyear, because if you've ever grown lambsyear, you know how much that fills in as well. We may not need anything else in here, and I don't want to waste plants on that. If it's already going to be full, there's no need. So I started the mini, is it Kenilworth? I already can't remember. We just looked at the tag. Anyway, it's not an ivy. It just has ivy in the name. Anyway, we started the mini Kenilworth ivy right here. So right next to the lambsyear. I kind of want it to start in a way that it looks like it's coming out from underneath that perennial and from underneath the other things that are back behind it. And so just did a little ring around the edge here. I think this is really sweet. Look at how beautiful that little purple flower is with our little silver gumdrop heucheras. I love that. Now there is a fern right here I forgot about. So there's a fern there, and I think there's another one in here somewhere in this vicinity. So we'll have that fern texture here, and then we'll have it repeated out throughout this section. And this is the only like drift, I guess, of plants. So the 3 heuchera right in here, but they're going to be interspersed with the hellebores because we've got one here. There's one coming up in there. Let's see. There's hostas coming up here and here. So I skipped this spot, but just kind of bounced the little Kenilworth ivies along the edge. And I think I'm going to go down to the garden center today and pick up, if they've got them still. I know my mom ordered a flat of these. They're probably not still there if they were looking this beautiful this past week. Anyway, I need to finish this off with the Kenilworth ivy. In fact, the garden center is closed today, and I just called my mom and asked her if she wanted to go get a drink and go down and just enjoy. With the gates locked, nobody else in there, we can just go do a little shopping. But if you look back in toward the center of this flower bed, you can see the ferns dotted throughout. So that will be our tall plant, and I kind of want to get like one. I do have one in a container in the greenhouse that once we're ready to plant it out, we can put it right here. and then maybe like 2 or 3 more to kind of finish off this look right throughout here, and it'll stop before the sunny spot starts. And then I'll want something a little shorter possibly to go on the other side of it. But I dotted the toad lilies around throughout, the whole time trying to be mindful of all the other perennials in here, because even though the hellebores at this point are small, they won't be forever. I mean, this right here will turn into a great big perennial at some point. So we've got the toad lilies in throughout here. I popped one of the dressed up ball gown heucheras here. Isn't that a bright spot? It just shines. And the other one on that side. I love that. And then I had 2 more heucheras. I bounced like this. First I had them like this, but I think I want either a grassy texture right in here or maybe something more hosta-esque. Maybe like an autumn frost or something like that. I don't know, something right in here. So that's what we ended up with today. Now we just need to get them all in the ground. And the sun decided to pop out for at least a few minutes. Got all of it planted and it's looking so pretty. It's exactly the look I want for this space. I don't necessarily want great big drifts that are really close together right here. I kind of want it just to look like a jumble of beautiful foliage in all shades of green. You know, we do have a little bit of purple there with the heuchera, and we might bring in some other. I've got some gorgeous heucherellas in the high tunnel that I thought about bringing up here, and we may incorporate some of that later, but sometimes I just like it to look just texturally different with different shades of green. I think that can be really beautiful and very peaceful. So you can see here the little ground covers along the edge, and that will be beautiful spring summer color right there. We'll get some summer color from our heucheras, which are all throughout now. The toad lilies are, I think they're more of a spring, early summer bloomer, if I remember right. And then of course we've got the hellebores, which will bring our really early colors. So late winter, early spring. Our viburnum will be late spring, early summer. Then there's also a, is it a Victoria poppy? The one that's salmon pink colored. That's what that is right there. And then of course the roses, which this one is a distant drums. This one is a old fashioned, like it looks like a David Austin. It's a light pink. And then there's another light pink rose right back in there. Our Brennera, once it establishes itself, will be nice blue spring color. Then we've got the white bleeding hearts in here. You know what we did have in here, and I completely forgot, we had the autumn frost hostas. Where are they? There's one right here for sure. I thought I had another one right in here. If I don't, I think I might need to repeat that because it's one of my favorite combinations to see the white bleeding heart with that autumn frost hosta that's got the brilliant yellow variegation. It's such a gorgeous combination. Oh, we're getting some sun now. And then I like to see a little bit of that bold toad lily foliage along with the fern foliage. And of course the grassy daffodils will not be in here all season. So that's something that you have to kind of keep in mind when you're planting up an area like this. One, I didn't want to mess any up, which I didn't. I didn't dig up any daffodil bulbs. I did have to dodge drip lines everywhere though. That's why I was kind of like clawing around underneath where I wanted each plant before I stuck my shovel in, because I had some really close calls in the first couple of holes I tried to dig. And I'm loving the pop of chartreuse in here. So we'll just have to see how things kind of progress this season and see where there's holes we need to fill. And I just kind of want to pop all of the shade things that I love in this space and not necessarily have it be completely matching all over, except I would like to continue on that kind of river of ferns through there. I think that would be a really fun texture. And I think it's the needed height in this space because I don't necessarily want to block off the view to the raised bed garden. You know, as you look through here, I want to still be able to look over there and see that beautiful spot. And even if the ferns get to their 4 feet size, you still will be able to see it. I like having those vistas that are kind of far, like the sweeping vista. I think that's really pretty. And then we'll figure out what we want in this space as well, but this will just be something we can work on and pop things here and there. Douglas, what are you doing? Douglas, kitty kitty. It's fixing to get up in the tree. Oh, he's hearing some noise. What is that noise? What is that, Douglas? You look very handsome in there. And I got our Christmas wreath down, and I don't have much for spring wreaths. We might need to come up with something. Anyway, here's one little last look because we are done with our project for today. So stay tuned for progress of this flower bed. I'd really like to fill it up this season because I really want several areas of this garden to be full, and so that they can start to establish and mature and fill in. You know, we've had to lay waste to so many areas of our garden for good reasons most of the time. You know, there were areas like the west side here, which was a grass lawn. We could have left it. That would have been completely fine, except for the great big elm tree that used to exist way down on that end. So there were some areas that we decided to take out so that we could create something new, something that we loved and made it our own space. But there was a lot of things in this garden, including this space that we worked on today, where we had to tear out privet hedging that was almost dead, and just this and that all over the garden that just needed to come out so that we could get some new things in that weren't sick or half dead or that sort of thing. So I would love to get some areas filled back in so that they have a chance to really do their thing and come into their own. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of these options for shady spots in your garden. If you guys have any experience, especially with the toad lily, I would love to hear it. I did see based on its root system that it does look like it's gonna want to spread a bit. I doubt it will here in our area, but we'll just have to see how that goes. What?
It's a bicycle without training wheels.
I know, I thought it came with training wheels though. No? I ordered Samantha a big girl bike, but I thought it came with training wheels. Hopefully it did. Anyway, thank you guys so much again for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.